What if everything you believed, your family, your security, your rights, had been a lie? The call came at dawn. Your trusted confidant was on the other end of the line, their voice steady and certain. It's done. The lawyer had finally broken under questioning and confessed to everything. Years of deception, carefully orchestrated to work against you, had now been fully exposed. The attorney who once stood against you admitted to their role in a conspiracy, falsified evidence, manipulated facts, and deliberate legal maneuvers, all designed to undermine you. Justice was now in motion. The court had been notified, and official documents revealing the full extent of the scheme were being processed. But the subpoena was not for you. It was for those who had plotted against you. When the legal notice arrived at their doorstep, it would mark the result of your patience and resilience. The truth, which you had always known, was finally undeniable. The lawyer's confession had confirmed it all, and vindication was imminent. In the shadows of family bonds, a conspiracy had been born. What began as whispered conversations behind closed doors evolved into a sophisticated scheme carefully designed with a single purpose: to strip you of your rightful assets and inheritance. The confession had torn away the carefully constructed illusion, exposing the intricate web of lies that had surrounded you for years. This was not an accidental legal oversight, nor was it the result of mere misunderstandings. The documents now in the hands of the court proved it was a deliberate, systematic effort to manipulate the legal system against you. Family members you had once trusted had collaborated with legal professionals to create a false narrative about your life, your capacity, and your rights. The lawyer's confession had named individuals within the legal system, those who had sworn to uphold justice, but had instead participated in betrayal. Clerks who conveniently lost your filings, paralegals who backdated documents, and even court officials who strategically misplaced evidence that could have supported your claims years ago had all been part of the deception. What made this revelation even more profound was not just the extent of the deception, but its duration. This was not a momentary lapse in judgment or a single act of dishonesty. It was a prolonged campaign, executed with meticulous precision, designed to ensure that you would never gain access to what was rightfully yours. The center of this conspiracy was the effort to obtain power of attorney over your affairs. Family members presented themselves to the court as concerned relatives, claiming they only had your best interests at heart. Their performances were flawless, tears shed at the right moments, voices breaking with just the right amount of emotion as they expressed their fabricated concerns about your mental capacity. They filed legal documents that painted a false picture of you, describing fabricated incidents, and even providing misleading medical assessments that suggested cognitive decline. These reports, which should have never held up under scrutiny, were used as key evidence in their campaign to convince the court that you were incapable of managing your own affairs. What they had never anticipated was that the judge would eventually see through their lies. As the lawyer now admitted, they became overconfident. They presented contradictory statements to different officials, failed to maintain consistency in their fabricated timeline, and most critically, underestimated your clarity of mind. When you finally appeared in court, your composure and articulate responses stood in stark contrast to the false image they had painted. Your ability to recall events with accuracy, your thorough understanding of your financial affairs, and your well-reasoned answers to even the most complex legal questions undermined everything they had claimed. As a result, the evidence they had so carefully manipulated began to unravel. Medical experts questioned the legitimacy of the assessments used against you. Witnesses who once stood against you began to falter under cross-examination. Documents they had altered showed inconsistencies when analyzed by forensic specialists. And now, with the lawyer's confession, the full scope of their deception had been exposed. The deliberate falsification of medical records, the coaching of witnesses, and the systematic effort to isolate you from allies who could verify your actual condition had all come to light. What they had originally intended as a legal mechanism to control your assets had now become irrefutable proof of their criminal conspiracy. No scheme of this magnitude could have been carried out by a single individual. The lawyer's confession revealed a network of collaborators, family members, legal professionals, and even court officials who had played crucial roles in ensuring the conspiracy's success. What they had presented as simple family discussions about your well-being were, in reality, carefully orchestrated meetings where they planned every move, assigned roles, and ensured their stories aligned. The paper trail was now undeniable. Financial transactions between family members and legal professionals far exceeded normal professional fees. Private communications detailed exactly how documents should be manipulated and how testimony should be framed. Calendar entries for secret meetings, deliberately kept off official schedules, provided further evidence of their collusion. Perhaps most alarming was the revelation of corrupt relationships between your family members and certain court officials. These were not casual acquaintances or innocent professional connections. They were calculated alliances, formed with the singular goal of circumventing justice and manipulating the legal system for financial gain. What none of them had anticipated was that their communications would eventually be recovered. In the digital age, nothing truly disappears. Emails they believed had been deleted were retrieved from backups. Text messages between conspirators had been preserved. Financial transactions, no matter how well disguised, left a trail that forensic accountants had now reconstructed. They had built an impenetrable wall around you, ensuring that you were cut off from vital information, support, and justice itself. But like all walls built on deception, it was destined to collapse. The most revealing aspect of the confession was the true motivation behind this elaborate scheme, the hidden inheritance and assets that had been deliberately kept from you. The liar's revelations confirmed that the stakes had been far higher than anyone outside the conspiracy had ever realized. This was not about controlling a small estate. It was about seizing a fortune. The confession detailed the existence of concealed bank accounts, both domestic and offshore. It revealed trust funds that had never been disclosed during legal proceedings. It exposed properties, investment portfolios, and business interests that had been intentionally hidden from both you and the court. Some of these assets dated back generations, part of a family legacy that had been meant to be shared. Others represented the fruits of investments and business ventures that should have benefited all family members, but had instead been channeled into accounts controlled by a select few. The lawyer provided evidence of the extreme measures taken to hide these assets, shell companies created to obscure ownership, transactions routed through multiple accounts to disguise their origins, and legal structures deliberately designed to create confusion and prevent clear determination of rightful ownership. Of particular significance was the revelation regarding your family history and inheritance rights. Documents that would have established your clear legal claim to these assets had been deliberately suppressed. Family records that would have confirmed your rightful position had been altered or destroyed. The story they had presented to the court, a carefully crafted fiction designed to exclude you from what was rightfully yours, was now collapsing. The financial scope of this deception was staggering. What had been portrayed as a modest estate that needed to be managed was, in reality, a vast fortune that certain family members were determined to control for themselves. The lawyer's confession included detailed financial records proving, for the first time, the full extent of what had been kept from you. This was never about protecting you. It was never about ensuring responsible management of resources. It was about greed. It was about power. It was about a ruthless determination to control wealth that rightfully belonged, at least in part, to you. But now, their scheme had been exposed. Their fabricated evidence had been dismantled. Their network of corruption had been revealed. And with the truth finally out in the open, justice was no longer a distant hope. It was an inevitability. The journey of some individuals is different from the rest. They are the ones who do not seek validation or follow the crowd, but instead carve their own path, even if it means walking alone. They do not act for applause or approval, but simply because it is who they are. These are the ones who take challenges meant to break them and turn them into something powerful. Their wisdom is not something that can be taught in schools or books. It is earned through struggle, perseverance, and experience. For those who resonate with this, there is a place where like-minded individuals gather. The Obsidian Inner Order is a unique space where over 400 people come together to share knowledge, build connections, and evolve into their highest selves. Here, there is no pretense, no games, only truth. Those who feel ready will know where to find it, and for those who are not, the choice remains theirs to make. On a separate note, justice is now moving forward with unstoppable momentum. The legal system has taken notice, and a subpoena is being prepared, signifying the recognition of a serious injustice. However, this document is not aimed at the victim, but at those responsible for orchestrating deception and manipulation. This includes family members who acted in their own self-interest under the guise of concern, legal professionals who betrayed their ethical duty, and court officials who failed in their responsibilities. These individuals will no longer operate in the shadows. They will be required to appear before the court, not as accusers, but as the accused. They will be compelled to testify under oath and present documentation, communications, and financial records that will expose the full extent of their wrongdoing. The legal process will not be swift. Cases of this complexity take time, and those implicated will undoubtedly attempt to delay, deflect, and create alternative explanations to avoid accountability. They will seek legal counsel, challenge the validity of the evidence, and try to manipulate the narrative in their favor. However, unlike before, when they acted in secrecy, they are now under legal scrutiny. Every document, motion, and statement will be examined in court, ensuring that the truth, which has long been suppressed, finally emerges. As these proceedings unfold, multiple stages can be expected. There will be formal court hearings where evidence will be presented, and there may be attempts to settle to avoid a public trial. The legal battle will be intense, as those involved seek to minimize their liability. But the foundation for justice has already been laid. The lawyer's confession has provided undeniable proof, and additional documentary evidence is being gathered to strengthen the case. The consequences for those involved will be severe. The lawyer who played a key role in this deception will almost certainly be disbarred. Their violations of professional ethics and deliberate abuse of power as an officer of the court leave no other option but permanent removal from legal practice. However, Disbarment is just the beginning. Multiple individuals face the possibility of criminal charges, including fraud, perjury, conspiracy to commit fraud, and the misappropriation of assets. These are not minor infractions, but serious legal offenses that could lead to heavy fines and even imprisonment. Beyond criminal liability, civil lawsuits may also follow. Those responsible may be sued for financial compensation not only for the direct monetary losses caused, but also for the emotional distress and reputational damage inflicted upon the victim. Courts may even impose punitive damages to discourage similar misconduct in the future. The pressure is mounting, and cracks are beginning to form in their once solid defense. Those who once conspired together are now turning against each other. Family members are attempting to distance themselves from the lawyer's actions, and some peripheral figures are cooperating with investigators in an effort to reduce their own involvement. The unity they once displayed is breaking apart under the weight of legal accountability. The financial implications will be significant. Hidden assets will be uncovered, and financial transactions designed to obscure ownership will be revealed. The courts may order compensation and additional penalties that ensure those responsible are held accountable. The impact will not stop with the individuals directly involved. Legal firms that failed to supervise their members and court administrations that neglected proper oversight may also face investigation. This case is not just about personal justice. It has the potential to create systemic changes that prevent similar abuses from happening in the future. Moving forward, it is crucial to take specific steps to ensure that justice is fully served. Documentation is key. Every email, letter, and legal notice related to the case must be preserved and stored securely. These records should be organized chronologically, with copies kept in separate locations as a safeguard. Any communication from the accused individuals should be documented, but direct engagement should be avoided. All interactions should be handled through legal representatives to prevent any accusations of interference. It is also advisable to maintain a written record of significant events, conversations, and meetings related to the case. A detailed journal, including dates, locations, and key discussions, can be a valuable tool when providing testimony. While memories alone may not serve as legal evidence, contemporaneous notes can reinforce credibility and support formal statements. As the case progresses, those accused may attempt to shift the blame, discredit the victim, or question their motives. These tactics are common in high-stakes legal battles, but it is important to remain composed and trust in the legal process. The evidence will speak louder than any attempt to manipulate the narrative. Throughout this process, maintaining mental and emotional well-being is essential. Legal proceedings, even when moving in one's favor, can be emotionally draining. Having a support system of trusted individuals, whether friends, family, or professional counselors, can provide crucial stability. Seeking guidance from mental health professionals may also help in managing the stress associated with prolonged legal battles. Discretion is also paramount. Discussing case details with friends, family, or on social media should be avoided, as anything said could potentially be used in court. Until the matter is fully resolved, limiting discussions to privileged legal conversations ensures that no information is inadvertently weaponized against the case. A fundamental shift has occurred in this legal battle. What was once a struggle against a manipulated system has now become an orderly legal process driven by facts and evidence. The burden of proof no longer rests on the victim. It is now upon those who orchestrated the deception. Justice, which once seemed distant, is now an inevitable outcome. The assets that were hidden are being brought into the open. The inheritance that was wrongfully withheld is being acknowledged. The legal maneuvers used to suppress the truth are being dismantled. Most importantly, the persistence of the victim has been validated. There were moments of doubt when it seemed like the fight was impossible to win. The overwhelming forces aligned against the truth created confusion and frustration, making it seem as though reality itself was being questioned. However, it is now clear that those doubts were not a sign of misunderstanding, but a direct result of intentional deception designed to create uncertainty. Despite these obstacles, the truth has prevailed, and justice is within reach. This legal resolution will not be a single dramatic event, but rather a series of court rulings, settlements, and judgments that collectively restore what was taken. The deception that once appeared impenetrable is now falling apart under the weight of undeniable facts. The lawyer has confessed. The court has been notified. The subpoena is being prepared. Vindication is no longer a distant possibility. It is now becoming reality. Justice, long delayed, is finally taking shape, and this time, it moves with undeniable force in favor of the truth.